do have a quorum. Justin said he is not. Justin Faber is not going to be able to make it. He had a family emergency. So we will get started. Matt, I forgot to ask you, did you have meeting minutes from the last meeting, October 5th of 2022?
Yes, I believe I uploaded those. Jimmy, just kind of highlight what those are here real quick.
Yes, if you could, please.
All right, we called the meeting to order at 7 o'clock, held the meeting via an online Zoom meeting and at the courthouse. Members present were Matt Duvay, zoning administrator, Jeff Gorbel, David Quisley, Todd Rothhove, Dana Thomas. Justin Faber was absent. We had, and Mark Tomlinson was also present, I think, via Zoom. The approval for the September minutes, motion by Thomas, second by Quisley. He's around. They reviewed the report to the supervisors relating to the proposed changes to the county urban renewal plan and consolidation urban renewal area. And that proposed change was motioned by Quisley and approved. The document is written, second by Rothhove. Yeas all. We adjourned at 7:06.
Okay. Thank you. So that was the minutes from our last meeting. The agenda has been previously provided to the commission members. Any comment or discussion on the agenda or meeting minutes? Hearing none, seek unanimous consent for approval of the agenda and minutes. Agenda and minutes are approved. This being our first meeting with new membership, the first order of business on our agenda is the election of chair and co-chair for this group, since we have new members. So are there nominees for chair of the zoning commission?
I'll nominate the same thing, you again.
Second.
Are there any other nominees? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a vote on election of Jeff Gorbel as chair of the zoning commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved. Jeff Gorbel's been elected as chair. We now need a co-chair. Are there any nominees for co-chair?
Justin's not here, so I'll nominate Justin. Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Show up, Justin.
Yeah, that's what happens.
All right. Any other nominees? All right. Justin Faber has been elected for co-chair. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Justin has been nominated as co-chair, so I'll let him know after the meeting this evening. Next on the agenda is public hearing for the Rugland rezone request for parcel 0219400008. So we'll recess the normal commission meeting and open the meeting for public comment on the rezone request for that parcel. I guess before I ask others to comment, I'll ask you folks if you want to just briefly state why it is that you're seeking the rezone request.
Yeah, so I've been a farmer, seed dealer, chemical dealer for almost 30 years, and I would like to get the whole thing out of my personal property and on its own property. And I work for a company called Nutrient Ag Solutions. In the past, as a seed dealer or a chemical dealer, the product has been delivered to me as a prepackaged by customer. And this facility would self-contained dike flooring and put bulk tanks in to be more efficient in handling, bulk chemicals. That's, I guess, the point of the property and the building. So,
Okay. And I will note that the information that was provided to the zoning commission indicates that what you're asking for does meet the setback requirements designated in the zoning ordinance, just so the folks are aware of that. So there are comments to this zoning request? No public comments? No? Okay. Are there questions from the zoning commission members?
I'm just here to listen tonight.
I'm sorry?
I'm just observing mostly
Okay.
tonight.
I kind of have a question. I assume that somehow you've been through DNR and fire.
so I guess the first step was to get the property zoned commercial, and then the next step would be to go get all those other permits in place. The floor is that self-contained, it's, you go get an engineer, and then they get a state of Iowa stamp on the engineering of the floor, and then you get DNR approval and all that stuff on the dike.
Mhm. So as a lot of our agricultural ventures get bigger and bigger, evacuation, casino, and neighbors, that obviously has to come into play, but I'm not versed in that. I think it'd be important to talk about that.
Right, they believe there's a whole thing in place where it has to be approved. You have to go to the fire department and notify them of what you have in place as far as products and stuff, and what's hazardous. And I believe it has to be posted on the building wall, what's flammable or combustible or hazardous. Or whatever.
Have you talked to the casino, or are they aware of this? I don't know the proper order of this. Some of this seems a little bit backwards, actually.
I guess I have not talked to the casino about it.
Or the fire department, or,
No, I just assumed that we would have to get zoned before anything would go further as far as that would go, for any other approvals, I guess. As far as the setbacks from the casino, I guess I didn't know what there was one. I understand there's a 3,000-foot setback from the water tower that's by the casino, and the back sheet of this shows that I am 3,080 feet from the wellhead, from the south side of my property line. So I guess that,
because one of my questions is, just talking here, I realize we have setbacks and whatever, but because I'm not familiar with this, you, in your business, you might be, I'm not sure, could it come into play that we have to consider, I know you got diking in the building, but does it need any extra terracing to help with an outside spill during a transfer or anything? I don't know if that even comes into play. But a lot of these systems are getting a lot bigger than they used to be, it's not just.
the diking rules are the floor has to hold 110% of your largest tank while displacing fixed structures in the dike.
Right,
So almost all bulk chemical tanks are on stilt legs, so there's really no displacement there. But if there's flat bottom 5,000 or 10,000 gallon tanks in that dike, it has to hold 110% of the largest tank in that dike floor while displacing.
and that's as far as inside diked, inside a building, but a lot of
There is
business.
no requirements as far as anything exterior.
Because, well, you could already tell what my next question was, that so many of these businesses, semis sitting outdoor, semi-trailers, spreading equipment, temporary storage,
Mhm.
I personally am having a lot of issues with temporary storage all around the county,
Mhm.
and it's a big concern. I don't know what the proper order is. It's kind of your business.
The rule on anything like that is, like farmer site, they're not allowed to have more than 5,000 gallons per location.
For how long? Is there a
I don't
time?
think there is a limit on how long. And I think the spill control rules as far as having a contained hookup on a farm is a 5-gallon pail on a farm. But
Right,
as a commercial site, you would, if you had a drive up, this is the drive up dike floor. But as far as a farmer, with the disconnection on the hose, states it's just a 5-gallon pail,
right.
you know.
I'm
But
just
they're
surprised
not
that
allowed to
it's
have
a
more than
bigger deal.
5,000 gallons. That's not movable, let's say. That's why they have these trailers now that are, you know, they hoist up on the wheels and you can move them off site, and
How many gallons are most of those? I guess I'm pretty out of
I
touch.
think you can get them as big as 10,000.
And since it's really like, since it's a week maximum per location, they probably don't,
I don't think there is a time limit on how long they can sit there. It's just they have to be movable on wheels, the capability of moving on wheels. If they're a fixed structure, then you get into a whole other ballgame.
maybe related to or not related to your business that we're working on right now, but I'm finding a big problem all around the county with temporary structures, temporary storage, not necessarily chemical, but also including that. There seems to be a lot of loopholes in that that really concern me, that I think the board needs to address in our ordinance.
Yeah, we'll have to take that up as a
Right.
separate issue. So are there any other questions for the rezone request?
I guess I have a question. What's the setback for residential people?
So the zone that would be applicable for this, for bulk storage and pumping of agricultural chemicals and fertilizers is light industrial, is what it would be, what he's seeking to be rezoned as. The regulations for that give setback for principal buildings from the front yard 50 feet setback, rear yard 50 feet setback, side yard 50 feet setback, a maximum height of 60 stories and or 90 feet. And then there's setbacks for accessory buildings, so buildings that are separate from that as well. For yard requirements, for the lot size, there's no requirement for the lot area. There's no minimum or maximum for that. And the ordinance right now is silent with regard to distance from neighbors. I think that's where we would get into things like Todd is suggesting. Our ordinance is silent on those things right now. Presumption being DNR or fire department, folks that are responsible for hazmat response and things of that nature would have rules and regulations around those kinds of things, and that would be part of that permitting process. But the Worth County zoning ordinance doesn't discuss that at all with regard to neighbors or lot size.
So I know you're talking about something doing with the casino. Is that where, in case fires still happen, the smoke and all that kind of stuff would be your?
Yeah, my personal thought was like when we had to evacuate Northwood. I don't know if you guys had to address that within your facilities, really, I don't know how it works.
That's really separate from the discussion we have here of whether or not to zone him as light industrial.
Right.
Those are all permitting things that you have a DNR permit. Much ado, you have all the other permitting agencies that are pretty good for this type of building.
Really, kind of just like problems.
Yeah, right, whether you want a hard setup next year or not is really, how the DNR is the one that decides that permit. And it's the same way on something like this. There isn't really, anything under our preview as far as, but like him moving from being a farmer seed dealer to being a commercial application, whole bunch of different rules he'll have to play by now.
So my question is then, so before he builds this, he'll have to have a DNR permit and all of those things that play into, you know, like if you want to put up a hog facility or something like that?
Well, again, from a zoning perspective, our responsibility is to look to see, does his plan appear to be consistent with the zoning regulations for light industrial? And then, once we close the public hearing, we'll take a vote and make a recommendation, yes or no, and then we'll forward that recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. The Board of Supervisors are the ones that actually change the zoning. Once they've got it zoned as light industrial, then he can go on to DNR or whomever that has jurisdiction over the bulk storage of chemicals and things of that nature. Now, what those may be and what kind of permits he may need to have for that, I have no idea, and it's, our ordinance is pretty silent with regard to that, and we can make, as part of our recommendation, we can include a condition statement with that recommendation for approval for light industrial, that he does have to contact DNR, local fire department, et cetera, to determine what permits are necessary and any other requirements that they may need to abide to. But we don't have any of that with regard to zoning. Any other comment? Public comment?
And the other thing too, I was just wondering about this shed that he already has built up there on the road right next to me. Is that gonna be moved, or, I mean, is stuff gonna come out of there, or is it still gonna be chemicals there, or rezoned?
So that is just, the way the rules on chemicals are. If you have bulk tanks and you are, the big bulk tanks, and you are filling totes, my chemicals are delivered by a customer prepackaged. And so that floor in that building is a self-contained floor, there is no drain in it, which I did just because. But that building will just be machinery storage,
After this is done.
yes. Yes, everything will be, for efficiencies, I've got a room over at home in a building that I've been storing stuff, and then I've been having that building next to you guys. And I've got other sheds up north, and it's just a nightmare getting orders assembled and getting them out the door, and it's trying to get it in one place to be more efficient. What the whole deal is.
So would it be an accurate statement then to say that all of your commercial operations will be operated out of this facility that you're placing on this
Correct.
lot? Okay. Other questions, comment? Okay, we will close the public hearing and resume the zoning commission meeting. Any discussion within the zoning commission members, among the zoning commission members on this? Okay, the applicable zone designation for this lot that he's seeking would be light industrial. Is there a motion to recommend a change from agriculture to light industrial for this parcel that's identified in the package that was submitted?
With the size of it, is there much difference between commercial and light industrial?
Well,
Trying to read through it, I didn't see.
well, I don't, the permitted uses in light industrial includes, let me pull up here, includes the bulk storage and pumping of agricultural chemicals and fertilizers. I don't think commercial includes that as conditional use.
I don't really remember
So it
seeing
wouldn't be-
size differentiation either by bulk amounts.
It's just one product, so you're
utilize whether or not it's commercial or light industrial.
Yeah. Looking at the permitted uses in commercial,
Read everything on this.
I don't see any of the things that are listed that would apply to the nature of the business that he's wanting to perform here. So I think the appropriate zone designation to support bulk storage of chemicals and fertilizers is light industrial.
I move to rezone the parcel submitted from Rugland from agriculture to light industrial.
I'll second that.
Okay. If no further discussion, there's a motion on the table to rezone the parcel that was submitted. Read that parcel number again, just for the record. It is parcel 0219400008 in Worth County, Iowa, rezoning from agriculture to light industrial. All those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion has passed. Are there any conditions that we want to put on our recommendation that we submit to the supervisors next week with this recommended zone change? There was discussion about making certain that DNR permits and such were on hand.
That's all up to DNR. As far as I'm concerned, it's kind of out of our preview and it's where I stood, so.
Okay,
After we pass it, it still goes to them, correct? To the supervisor?
that's correct. Yeah, the supervisors are the ones that will actually approve or disapprove the change. Ours is just a recommendation. Okay,
I guess the only question that I had maybe for the supervisors or whatever is, you know, the setbacks for windmills and stuff like that is quite a bit more than what is here. And are we gonna get some rebuttal on that from neighbors? That's just a question that I have because it has been an issue in Worth County.
right. And, that's one of the reasons I think that, we're required to have a public hearing on these kinds of things when we're changing the zoning. So the public is notified and they are aware. And it may be, Todd has suggested that our ordinance may be deficient on some other things as well, that, in addition to the lot size, the general lot size for light industrial for setbacks, for certain kinds of things, maybe there should be additional guidance, but that's something we'd have to take up as a separate agenda item. So, okay. Back to my agenda here. So is there any, well, I guess I'll ask the question. The next agenda item is discussion for new business. Is that something that we should set up a discussion about?
I think so, definitely. The temporary storage is not directly addressed in our zoning ordinance, and I'm getting calls all over the county of skid buildings, just all sorts of temporary storage, not really having, everybody thinks they don't have to adhere to property line setbacks similar to a building or another structure. Temporary storage, skid buildings, et cetera, seem to be where people think there's a loophole to where they don't have to respect boundaries
Okay.
or setbacks.
Okay, we'll set up a separate meeting for that discussion then, and we can include one on the hazardous kinds of things, setbacks related to hazardous stuff.
Is there anybody, for example, like with your business, with chemicals and that, is there somebody that we can, that has a wealth of knowledge or experience with what would be a proper setback versus just a regular structure? Maybe that's irrelevant for our temporary stuff, but I don't know if there's an extension program or a publication. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to take that up because it's not an agenda item for our discussion today. And one of the other things I'll say, and then we'll close on that topic because it's not an agenda item. We'll have to weigh how much we get into it from a zoning perspective versus just require that whatever agency it is that has purview over those things is notified and, that they are cognizant of it so that they can do what they're supposed to do. Okay, so that said, without objection, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Your next supervisors meeting, is that on Tuesday, Enos? Because of the holiday on Monday? Okay. I'll let Jackie know. We'll get this on the agenda for forwarding this for you guys. So, okay, thank you, Matt. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you. I'll
Bye.
get these minutes over to you here shortly.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
I will get you the recording of this after sometime tomorrow.
Great. Thanks, Sam. Bye.